land arts, there ought to be more and more of it, because it's the creative kind of science of understanding our sense of place and places and spatial relationships, our interactions with physical space. You know, to think that art is something that stays in a box in a building is very, very strange to me, since we don't ourselves, except New Yorkers, spend our lives in boxes and buildings. So you know, the art, you know, should reflect the way we experience, you know, places and the, you know, cities and towns and the nation. So it's kind of surprising in a way it took so long for the fine arts to get out of the gallery and begin to explore New Jersey or whatever, which you know, so people like Smithson and were, you know, people when I was in school were very important to think about, because they, you know, I was learning about geography, but it was the artists who dealt with sort of geographic, you know, issues that seemed to be telling, you know, discovering new things. And there wasn't so much room, it seemed to me, in the sort of traditional sciences of geography to really explain what was going on in our geography, in our study of the world. And, you know, to some degree, the people, the sort of landscape historians, J.B. Jackson, stuff like that, are important components. You know, the vernacular landscape, meaning the everyday, the ordinary, having value for understanding culture. I mean, that seems so obvious. I'm amazed that took so long to develop. But it was very good to, you know, encounter people like J.B. Jackson and other vernacular landscape people who sort of reaffirmed that there was value in what was sort of obvious. But the artists who develop projects in space are really kind of, you know, the true scientists. They're really probing and taking, you know, ideas outside of the conventional established patterns of thinking and applying them to space in a way for the public to kind of try and understand and react to. They're the ones, the probes out on the, you know, that are getting outside, you're finding the cracks and getting us out of our standard way of looking and thinking at things. And they're the researchers of perception and of you know, interpretation.
So you see less contributions from scientists?
Well, certainly in terms of volume, no. Scientists are producing all kinds of useful information more than artists in a sense, but it's a certain kind of information. The artists are the ones that are pushing the boundaries and breaking, you know, outside the normal sort of. They're taking the risks. They're not peer reviewed. They're not of all of it's helpful or interesting, but anything that sort of is new is good, because it helps us to see the sort of multiplicity of points of view of things, which helps our understanding of things. It's having these multiple perspectives, and just like you need biodiversity to deal with whatever situations come up, to find some vaccine or headache cure or you know, whatever it is, you need perspectival diversity to figure out how to best, you know, collectively improve the world. And artists are, I would argue, foremost in providing that perspectival diversity, and they're those agents, as well as represent, you know, keeping sort of cultural diversity in place. And but artists are the ones that are emerge from their respective cultures in ways that provide new points of view that the culture on the whole can't. You know.